And we're live. Hey guys. It's going to be continuing with the sculpt today. Don't plan on moving outside the ZBrush for the time being. If anyone has any kind of feedback as we go, that'd be much appreciated. We're going for this, just as a quick reminder. So this is a concept painted by Sam Rowan. There's a link to his art page in the description of the video. Just wanted to give that a little plug. It's only fair. And yeah, so I'm just going to continue sculpting. If anyone has any questions or wants me to go over anything, or if anyone has any notes, that'd be appreciated as well. Yeah, cool. So does this stay on top of the windows? No, it doesn't. I've downloaded Pure Ref for the first time, so I don't really know how you can use it. Window, is there a stay on top? Always on top, yes it is. Let's put it up there. Cool. So I'm gonna get a big version of it on my other screen as well. I think that will help. Having one right next to the vision and a big one on the other screen. Cool, there we go. So, corner of the mouth is too much. Let's put that there actually. Fill that out. Needs to be a bit flatter. I'm in kind of a stage of trial and error at the moment, just because I can't quite pinpoint what is throwing me off with the face. Like, I know there's probably some proportional issues. The mouth being too big is one of them for sure. In fact, I'll fix that now. But there's something throwing me off that isn't the proportion of the mouth. I'm imagining this this series will probably take quite a few passes to get the sculpt right. I don't want to move on to any other parts of the pipeline before I get the sculpt right, with proportions at least, just because it will only bite me later, really. Okay. Scale. I don't know if this will work. That helps. How much though is the question. The ears are really throwing me off. I don't know whether that's down to the fur volume or maybe they're too far back. I haven't quite figured that stuff out yet, but we'll get there. I don't think they would be that far forward. That feels a bit better actually. There was a ref of, I didn't load it, let me get this back. Is that the one? No. That's the one. It's not particularly high res, but this is the closest ref I could find for maybe what their eyelids would be. And I do need to do a proper search at some point, but this will help me kind of plan stuff out. Although it does seem to be doing kind of the opposite of what the kind of key references do in the actual original concept. Well, let's give this a go. Let's see if this helps. Currently just using a clay brush with no alpha. It's probably my favourite brush. BDS, is the stroke working? The stroke is not working. There we go. This doesn't feel right. This is too steep, I think. Because in the ref, I don't know if you guys see the same as I do, there are quite a few compression artifacts in this, it's not going to be ideal, but there's kind of two lines I could follow. This side doesn't really show either of them, other than, maybe it shows that one. But in this ref, maybe streaming kills it, I don't know. Hey man. Maybe streaming kills it, I don't know, but I see kind of a line here, which might just be a pattern of, is that fur or is it skin colour, I'm not entirely sure. But there's also kind of a subtle line here, and I don't know whether... Let me sculpt both and kind of see what works, but I've got a feeling there's like a little fold here and a fold there as well, like a secondary one. That in of itself looks kind of interesting. And then if I kind of add standard brush above that, maybe sculpt in the other direction. It feels too sharp, but there's something to it, and that's what I need to figure out. Is I'm not entirely sure what that is. As in, like, yeah, it's folder skin, but what it is about this that makes it either work or not work. And then I'm going to need to hollow this out a bit. Maybe that helps. Kind of makes him feel a bit angry though. Let's try. Yeah, it just feels angry. Doesn't make it super subtle. That's kind of working in a way. So one thing I'm kind of fighting against here, which is always a battle as an artist, and I mentioned it quite a lot in the last stream. So I'm not used to sculpting these types of features. Yeah, it's relatively close to human. Like it has, you know, regular eyelids. It's just a weird, like overall shape of the eyes. But I'm very much used to sculpting human faces. And the problem I've got is that if I was to sculpt something completely different, like a bird, I know absolutely nothing about face anatomy of a bird. So I'd go purely on observation. But because I know enough about human face anatomy, I'm fighting kind of the instinct of going on autopilot, because like the muscles are going to be broadly in the same place for this guy, but obviously they're going to be completely different volumes and the attachment points are going to shift. So if I go on autopilot, it's going to feel like a deformed human rather than a monkey. But because it's so similar to a human, when I look at observation, I'm seeing human muscle groups rather than actually just the raw kind of shape, which is kind of difficult. I don't know if any artists out there have like a way around this. I know you can do things like look at the reference upside down or look at your sculpt upside down, that sort of stuff. But I'm not entirely sure, one, how you do that in ZBrush, and two, if it would really work for me. Let's just get the master process on there. The back of the head is still pretty much the skull, so I'm just going to add an attachment point for the neck muscles later, sternocleidomastoid. Fun fact, the sternocleidomastoid, i.e. the neck muscle that goes from like behind the ear to the collarbone, the name sternocleidomastoid gives you all the information you need to know about how it attaches to the head. You've got the mastoid process, which is just this guy, and you got the sternum, which is sternum's there, and you got the clavicles. So the sternocleidomastoid is going from, I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of that, but it's going from the mastoid process, and it attaches, one part of it attaches to the clavicle, and one part attaches to the sternum, which is why you get like a super tight kind of pinching in this area and a slight blend on one side. I can't remember the exact way it attaches to the clavicle, to be honest, but something that kind of that information helps with is I see like a lot of beginning sculpts, people just have it go from here to the collarbone, which is most of it, but then they have like this pit right next to it, and that isn't there really on most people. There's a pit behind it, behind these, but yeah, when you're doing that neck muscle, is something that's kind of helpful to consider. Although I do need to brush up on my anatomy. It's been a while. Obviously, I've spent most of my career, well, I've spent most of the last 3 years. I say career, I'm still pretty early, but I spent most of the last couple of years doing groom, so my anatomy knowledge is kind of slipping, just because you don't really need anatomy knowledge that much to do groom. It helps you with understanding flows and how the fur will ruffle in different areas, but you don't need to know it as directly, and you definitely don't need to know muscle names. You just need to know kind of pattern of movement. Well, you don't need to know, but it helps a lot. So So I feel like I need to... Now it's a case of whether I want to go with this as the primary or this is the primary. Although I think both of them blend in a bit more. Okay, so I'm going to pull this down a bit. I'm going to mask the eye first. Which I always kind of paint this into my sculpts, which I'm going to do pretty soon actually, because I just like the way it looks. So let's get a slightly darker color. RGB, something like that. I always like darkening the eyes and the nose. That's why the Dragon Boy that I recently did, the reason he had a black nose is because I kind of just did this normal sketching thing that I do and then ended up actually really liking it. It needs to go darker. I also find myself quite often just using the tone of the masking, which sometimes gets a bit confusing. Come on, let me switch colours. Okay, apparently not. But I always just like shading these two areas. Although on the nose is not going to work on this one, so let's bring that back. And I think texturing this project I might do it actually properly, because for the last project I just did like a very quick sketch. A very quick sketch of like poly paint. I think for this one I'm going to try to do it with I haven't decided between Substance or Mari. I'm a lot more comfortable with Mari, but I do need to learn Substance in a bit more depth, so maybe it'd be worth me doing that a little bit. There we go. That's not necessarily in the ref, I like darkening it. I don't know what it is, it just pulls me to the eyes a bit more. I feel like I should hollow this bit out a bit. Not necessarily basing that on any ref, I just kind of, it feels like it should be hollowed. One kind of thing that I try to carry into a lot of my work is the idea of contrast, but not like just image contrast, like light and dark, but also contrast of forms. So if I have a convex area like this one, I normally like to follow it with a concave area. Obviously that's overdone, but you can kind of see the idea. It feels like it has more rhythm. I'm going to overuse that word now because I've got a life drawing tutor stuck in my head at the moment, but it feels not realistic, it just feels more natural to me to like do that sort of stuff. In fact, I might undo the poly painting for this guy, just because the eyes are already black, so that kind of goes against the effects that I normally use that for. Right. I will need to model the head form. The hair form, sorry. I need to figure out the neck though. These ears are going to be a nightmare to place. This is why I modelled them separate for now, is they're just going to be really difficult to get in the right place. Not looking forward to it at all. Although one thing I do want to quickly do is DMT. No, not you. Let me auto group this, poly group. Just kind of want to add a little bit of a spiral kind of effect in here. There we go. Are there any poly paint colours for the base of the skin texture, or will that just be Substance Mari? I do sometimes like to block out my colours in ZBrush, just because it always helps get any forms in there if you've got like the colour that you're going to have in the end. And obviously you can always turn it off. As I said in the previous stream, I like to sculpt with this colour of green. For my eyes, it's just the easiest to look at for long periods of time, and looking after your eyes is important. But yeah, I think I might figure out the color regions, because this clearly isn't human, so I can't just use like, oh, yellow here, red here, blue here kind of color zones. So I'll probably figure it out in this because it's faster, and then go into substance or Mari. Haven't set on which one I'm going to use yet though. As I said earlier, like, I'm a lot more comfortable with Mari, but being more comfortable with something isn't a valid reason to use it, at least in my opinion. Unless you've got a tight deadline, obviously then pick whatever you're most comfortable with, but it's important to get used to multiple tools. Maybe clay polish will do a good job here. Alright, yeah, no. That worked. Cool. Yeah, clay polish is a really helpful tool from time to time. Obviously, if you use it on the whole model, it just feels a bit more comic-like, which I don't particularly want. I quite like having the imperfections that I get from using the clay brush with no alpha. Alright, let's figure out what these are doing. I don't want to get too much into wrinkles, but I feel like they're going to help me figure out. Let me go back to the other ref. Can't see wrinkles on the sky, but I like having that one there. One, because it's cute, and two, because it's the most similar thing to the eye region I can find at the moment. Granted, I haven't done much searching yet. If I go in with a standard brush, select a Z add, that'll just feel a bit more like a scrunch. I'm not going to keep those lines. I'm just going to try to figure out how I'd want the pores to stretch. If anyone watching this doesn't know, pores on the face aren't uniform. They stretch in different regions, especially when you're pulling different faces. Generally, you're going to find it as like that kind of thing. Like, they stretch in those sorts of directions. Basically, just follow the nasolabial fold. Like, if you have the crease go that way, kind of follow this, you'll get a general pattern. Might not be 100% correct on that though, so don't quote me on that. Although that one's really not working. Let's get the eye. I feel like I need to change the smooth intensity. Right, so let's figure out the top of the head here. So looking at another thing, like coming back to the whole thing I was saying earlier about sculpting what I think I see rather than what I actually see. So this is something you get quite often on quite masculine men. And I'm just used to sculpting because my usual style puts this in a lot. But on both references, so on this ref and on this ref, that's not there at all. Resisting the urge just to paint or draw exactly what I think I should see is really hard sometimes. Why is this not working? There we go. Sorry, having some issues on the other screen. Andy, thanks for sharing the stream. If you're still watching, much appreciated. So let's trim dynamic, flatten. Never be afraid of just flattening something, by the way. Like obviously forms are subtle, and it is good to learn to sculpt subtly. Generally speaking, that's why I like to use the clay buildup with no alpha, because it can do so many things, and subtle sculpting is one of them. But sometimes it is worth just going with a trim dynamic and being like, oh, I want to remove volume here, cut straight across. Sometimes it really is worth doing that. Although that might have actually worked in this case. Let me just smooth that out. Also, in wide open areas, I tend to find that, again, at least for the way I like to sculpt, the trim dynamic is a better alternative to the smooth brush. That is definitely a preference thing, though. That is not factual in the slightest. Okay. So, in the monkey ref, like the real monkey ref, obviously the nose is a lot lower, and the mouth has like a kind of little W shape to it, but in this guy it doesn't have that, so I'm going to need to figure out exactly how big am I going to make these lips. And there's an issue with the lower jaw. I think the lower jaw is too flat. Like this one's got quite a pronounced chin, whereas mine, it might be down to the lighting in ZBrush because it's super directional, like no matter what you do, like faces facing down are almost always black, which if anyone knows a fix for that, would be much appreciated. That helps a bit. What about the lips? They need to come up. Keep accidentally spinning my model. I'm gonna put the lazy radius on standard brush as well. Standard brush and damn standard, I don't tend to treat like normal sculpting brushes. For me, they just serve a completely different purpose. Like, what I mean by that is if I want to build form, I will universally use clay or clay buildup, or sometimes clay tubes. Clay tubes has an interesting effect sometimes, although I don't like the default. If you go into clay tubes, let's move this guy on now. No. Why is my right click not working? There we go. If you go into the alpha for clay tubes, sorry, brush. Oh, I've got to remember where this is, because apparently I don't. It is alpha, right? Modify, yeah, alpha, modify, and set radial fade to around 10, 12, 13. It has quite a different effect, and I really like it. Like, that just feels super organic to me. It's really good for doing striations in muscles. It's not necessarily going to be good for the stage of sculpting that I'm at for the face. But it has a super interesting effect, and because the way clay tubes is, when you smooth, it leaves evidence of what it was. I don't know why that happens. It can feel bumpy in the end, so I tend not to use it again at this stage. I prefer the clay buildup with no alpha. But if I'm blocking out muscles, which I will be doing for the body at some point, once I've figured out what I want to do with it, it can be incredibly helpful. Right. Do I want to add that from the reference? Kind of cute, kind of terrifying. What if I smooth it in? And this is another aspect. Like, I don't know. I know 4 people are currently watching. I don't know who you all are. If there's anyone who's new to sculpting here, one thing I can say is even the best sculptors, and I'm not putting myself up there, I'm an okay sculptor, but even the best sculptors don't always know what they're doing, so sometimes it's good just to place a brush stroke, see if it works. It's like doing that shape. I still don't know if it works, to be honest. I'm not entirely convinced by it. This angle looks alright, maybe this needs to come back a bit. But the question is, does that feel better than it did? Let me just put him here. Shift N. Oh, is it Control N? Shift S. There we go. And I'm not sure which one works better for me. I'm leaning towards this one because this takes more elements from the real monkey, and it also gives me a bit more freedom for the upper eyelid, which I quite like. I'm gonna go with this one. Okay, so let's. I think it's Control N. Yep, cool. And I'm gonna save while I'm at this. I'm going to assume I've got the right save name there. Okay. So I feel like this is working from a lot of angles, but it's not the reference. My upper lid is too defined. I feel like the actual ref has this kind of eye bag going over. So the eyelid's kind of sitting under something. Obviously this looks super sad now. But it doesn't have a pronounced upper lid, so I'm going to remove that for a second. Again, it comes down to the whole sculpting what you think you see rather than actually what you do see. Let me just try filling that in a bit more slowly. Brush across it. That does not really work. I'm gonna hide the body for a bit, it's kind of distracting. I also hide the ground. See if that works. Oh. Let's see how the sculpt is doing compared to what it was at the start. Oh, that is not the start of the stream. That is the start of the actual sculpting. Perfect. This stage had something right about the eyes. top lip needs to feel, bottom lip needs to feel a bit thinner. Bottom lip on the concept is there. It's just super narrow, like almost. Something around that. There's a slight downwards, so it flattens at the top. So let me just grab the top lip, mask you. The mouth is very slightly open as well. These cushions below the mouth are too big as well. It's like he's been eating ice cream or something. Let's pull these up. That's helping a lot. But now that they've been pulled up, they're too voluminous, so let's pull that back a little bit. This also reduces the intensity. 43 seems a bit intensive anyway. Let me do this. So I'm wondering if what go down the whole route of, again, this isn't really in ref, but like you see it in a lot of supermodels. It tends to be like a bit of a, it's obviously not that extreme, that would be a disease. We tend to have like a puffier next to the middle bit. That's the spinning gun. I'm kind of wondering if it's worth adding an element of that. I have an update from NordVPN. I'm gonna go with no for now, because I don't think that's gonna help. I think that looks a bit better to me. I can add a very subtle crease for the top lip, super subtle. I'm gonna smooth this back in a second. It just makes it like it's a, it makes, adding that very subtle separation makes it feel like it's a different bit of skin. Which in a way it is, in a way it isn't. It's kind of hard to tell. I haven't really researched lips. Kind of to add a little bit of a upwards reflection there. Although now it feels like the Joker. That doesn't. So maybe it's flicking up too much. Let's pull that in a little bit. I will need to add a neck as well, because a floating head having no kind of reference point is annoying, but obviously I'm sculpting this guy and you can't see his neck, and I don't know really how their necks work, so I will need to find some good ref for that. I also feel like the lower face is too long now. Is that a camera angle thing though, or no, it's not. Okay, yeah, the lower face is too low. Get this guy back up. Anyone else get like William Dafoe vibes from the mouth? Might be the mouth and the eyes. Something about it makes it feel like William Dafoe to me. I don't know if it's like the creases around the mouth just have some kind of character to them. So what I did there is just, ooh, that might help. I've just hidden the mask. If you press Control H while you got a mask active, it will hide the mask from preview. I think that helps, adding that crease. Or not that crease, but I say it could go too far. The artifacting is kind of interesting. Let's just pull that back, shall we? Oh. That's the problem with hiding masks, is you can't tell if something's still masked. Lost that plane that used to be here. Sometimes forcing the planes can be helpful for seeing what shapes you want. One scene cannot be unseen. Yeah, it feels like William Dafoe, right? Like there's something about it. I can't pinpoint it. This is why likeness is so hard, man. Like obviously this isn't a likeness of William Dafoe, but like likeness can be down to the most subtle thing. Like this clearly isn't even human, yet it feels like an actor that I know. It's like, what's going on? I'm gonna get a picture of William Dafoe because it's driving me mad. Is it Dafoe? What is it? I think it's the lips. It's the lips. It's 100% the lips. Yeah, it is. Beautiful. Maybe it's the brow as well. Let's not force it out like that. Let's round it. And this line here is being quite a pain. I'm gonna get a super soft clay buildup and just round this way out. Incredibly soft clay buildups are really good at softening shapes because of the way the clay buildup works. Like it fills the gaps more than adding to the peak. So kind of, it's really good at removing geometry. So if I like do a super soft one here, it fills it rather than, obviously everyone knows how a clay brush works, but if you have a really subtle clay brush, the effect seems to be even stronger. I don't know why. Maybe it's just a visual trickery thing. Maybe it doesn't actually get softer. This is still too puffy. William Dafoe. So I just had him up on screen a second ago. This guy. For some reason, like it's something to do with the lips, I think, but it just makes it feel like the monkey just feels like him, in the most stupidly subtle way possible. But yeah, that bottom lip is too sharp now. Let's round that out a bit, and let's increase the Z intensity. Down 20. 20 is like my ideal sculpting strength for clay buildup. That is too strong though. Obviously pen pressure comes into it a lot. Like, I am barely touching the Wacom when I do this. Let's check. Sorry, just checking my Facebook, got a few notifications. Right, I might try placing a proxy version on the hair. Let's append a sphere. Oh, 2 new subscribers. Thanks for subscribing, guys. Right, so let's crank that way in. Adding the hair will really help the ears a lot. Like 100%, that's going to make a massive difference. When sculpting hair, let me just switch. I need alpha 28. Obviously you want to sculpt with asymmetry, but I'm just going to block out the volume first. And let's figure out what the flow is there. I'm going to assume there's some kind of everything flows away from a certain point. Maybe it twists around it or something, but we have to do that with asymmetry turned on. And let's just snake hook. It's going to feel like a beetle in a second, as in like one of the Beatles, the band, not an animal. I don't really care about the polygon count at the moment. I just want to get the general feeling, the general volume of the fur. I don't want it to feel like a judge either, but that seems like it's going to be unavoidable. Geometry, Dynamesh, where are you? There you are. To get rid of these, one thing I find works quite well is if you inflate like mad and then Dynamesh again, and smooth, inflate, Dynamesh, that gets rid of them pretty quickly. It is a lot easier than Dynameshing over and over and over. So obviously this is going to be a nightmare, so I'm going to have to just kind of force that back and Dynamesh and inflate to get rid of. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Again. I'm also going to turn on the Sculptris Pro. I can't remember if it well, I don't know if it remembers your settings, but I did have it set to be double the resolution it is by default, because I found that the default resolution is way too low. I quite like to sculpt with large brushes, and I think, to be fair, most people should sculpt with large brushes, to be honest, but obviously just do whatever your preference is. But Sculptris Pro is pretty helpful, because when you use it with snake hook, you can do that, and without Sculptris Pro, you get that. So Sculptris Pro is really helpful for doing like strays with a snake hook. I'm not going to be doing strays obviously, but it's, you know, if I want to do that clump right there, I can just go whoop and pull that back. But because of Sculptris Pro, it's going to have the geometry it needs. And for the clumps in front of the ears, for example, it's going whoop. And then let's call you. Oh no, not you. You. So let's do something like that. Nice thing as well, because the brush scale affects the because the brush scale affects the resolution of the what's the word? The Sculpting Pro. When you want to do strays, you just get a really tiny brush and it will still work. I find that is a really nice way of getting hair in, you know, just in the blocking stage, because you can do stuff like that. Right, so I'm going to start. It's too much like a perm at the moment. So let's flatten that out. Let's round it out here, add a bit more volume so it's like flatter. Let's add some depth so that it feels like it's off the head rather than just sitting perfectly on top. But adding all this, as you can see, like adding all this stuff will really help the ears fit. That's going to help a lot in the long run. We really need to pull this back. I love the smooth brush with this tool as well. So what's this going to do back here? I'm going to decide on doing something like a flow like that, maybe. So this will be the break. It'll kind of part on this guy, but for this guy it'll kind of bunch up. I feel like it could be quite interesting. So if I just have the hair kind of push up against that ear, might look quite interesting. Although looking at the ref, I feel like maybe it should be the other way. So maybe this should be spiraling around the other direction. So let's do that. So let's go mound up here, so that I can have the hairs go either side of it, and then spin off to that side, and then part for this side, and that will get me something a bit more interesting, I think. It also gives us a really nice opportunity to get some like mad strays on this side, and because it's twisting round this way now, we can do a bit of a sweep and it will fit. It really does look like a beetle right now. I need to get rid of these. These are driving me mad. Oh, with symmetry turned on, ideally. I think the volume needs to be way wider out the sides. I will have to do a camera lineup for the actual groom, because there's no way I'll be able to do this without a camera lineup. So other than the roundness, I think this is getting the general look that I want. This side is hollow, because the hairs are going like that. This side needs to be completely carved back. So does this side, to be honest. Get some height from there. And this is going to kind of flick forward. Let's put Z intensity, no, not focus shift, Z intensity to 100. And then let's just have a little experiment with this. So that's one thing I don't like with the sculpt brush, not sculpt brush, all of them are sculpt brushes, the snakehook brush. Hello.
Like, was it?
Started sculpting. Started blocking out the hair just to figure out if it will help the ears. I know, right?
It's quite funny.
Yeah, I know. It looks like one of the Beatles earlier. I kind of love it.
Yeah. The Aaron's on.
Hmm?
Top comment.
Concept kind of looks like Noel Fielding. Yeah, in a way it does. Is Aaron one of the guys from your uni?
Yeah, he goes to my uni.
All right.
Second year, third year, second year. I can't remember.
How's uni going, Aaron?
All merges into one. It does look like Noel Fielding.
It does, yeah. He's right. Adding the strays in front of the ears helps. So, like, watch what happens when I remove the hair.
Beautiful.
Like, granted, there's probably a way to make this work, but the hair just fits it. I just need to figure out the volumes.
I like deep condition my hair so that, dyeing it bright red wouldn't like kill it.
Oh yeah.
So I need to wash that. Oh, did you get merms?
Yeah, I've had my half saved the rest for yours. Can I have a coffee, please?
A what?
A coffee.
I don't have any coffee, Mike.
Oh. Well, now I'm just disappointed. I'm all. JC Denton says I'm also Aaron. Haha, just swapped accounts.
Fuck.
We're over one. Over one? Oh no.
What?
It's happening. I've started swapping my R's and W's like increasingly often. We are overrun with Aaron's. But yeah, uni is going fun. Prepping for the final year at the moment. That's good, man. Hope you've hope your final year goes well. If you ever want any like feedback or anything, feel free to message me. I'm happy to help. I feel like I'm somewhat tied into Ulster University now.
What?
I feel like I'm somewhat tied into Ulster University in terms of like offering to help students.
What does it mean?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've been there now, so I want to help people who are there. Yeah, I didn't study there, but I've physically been there, so I quite like to help those people. Uni's hard. Uni was the most stressful time of my life, including crunch time at in the VFX industry. I was way more stressed than uni. Because in crunch time at work, at least you got the whole thing of you're doing your best and you're paid to do it, but you're also paid for a certain amount of hours. Whereas uni, you're cramming because you need to get a job. I mean, that's my opinion anyway. Some people might massively disagree. But I personally found uni a lot harder. Let's pull this way in. And let's add some. God, I've got to find that camera angle again now. It's going to be a nightmare. Let's get some of those strays in there. Not strays, more like clumps really, but they're making stray shapes, so I'll call them strays. Yeah, I really felt like that last year. Great videos, Michael. Thanks a lot. Yeah, no worries. No worries, man. I'm glad you like them. I was talking to someone about these earlier today in like a little like catch-up call, and they were asking if I was thinking of making this like a bit more long term. And to be honest, I'm really enjoying it. Like, streaming is a lot of fun. Right, so that's the hair blocks. That helps me kind of put context to the ears. Obviously, this stuff makes no sense. In fact, I'm going to delete that.
Can I speak to the manager, please?
Karen.
Karen.
Where is it? Modify topology. Delete hidden. Close holes.
He says what?
JC Denton is Aaron.
Oh.
He changed account.
Oh. You should have watched it on 2 accounts and then the viewer went.
I hope you've liked on both accounts. Aaron.
That's quite fun. I feel like Aaron's my lackeys as well. I have so many tea bags. Oh my god!
What?
I just did the friggin' trickiest of shots. I literally opened the tea bag and whatever I did, it like fell into the cup, but I have no idea how in terms of the laws of physics.
I don't know how either, if that's any consolation.
Mike, I'm probably gonna stay up late tonight, okay?
You want to stay up late?
Yep.
That's fine by me. I mean, it's a Friday.
No bedtime.
Like I have that many screens. Right. So let's get back to figuring out the face, shall we? Turn off Sculptris Pro. Just turn off the alpha. I forgot the name of this, but it's not tear duct, is it? Like caruncula? Stuff like that? It's in the wrong place. I really am still getting those William Dafoe vibes, and it's really throwing me off. Hey Becca.
What?
We had a revelation in chat.
What?
Look. I'm going to say this, and you're not going to be able to get rid of it. William Dafoe.
I thought Christopher Walken, and I was like, does it look like King Louis?
I love that so much. Which is annoying that this feels like William Dafoe, because this doesn't. Like, the ref doesn't. So that means I've got an issue. I've also just realised this isn't anywhere near as hollow as I've got it. Nah, that's kind of weird. I might need to consult the actual, the guy who painted the concept and just be like, hey, help. Just to get his feedback on it. Obviously his feedback, everyone's feedback is always helpful, but the painter of the concept will always be the person with the best feedback, just because they understand the character at a different level. Although I guess that might not necessarily always be the case, but I don't know. The guy who painted this is a ridiculously good modeler. I'd never actually seen his work before I saw this this concept, and when I realised he was also a ridiculous sculptor, I was having second thoughts about whether or not I should actually make this series. Because that pressure's going to be there if he could have done it better. And at the end of the day, I'm not a professional sculptor, so like I've been sculpting for a while. I started sculpting in 2014, like around August time. Well, technically I was sculpting before that. I think I was sculpting in 2013, but that was in Mudbox, and Mudbox doesn't count. Don't like Mudbox. But I got ZBrush in like August or July 2014, just before uni. I got it for uni. My mum was kind enough to invest in getting me a laptop and ZBrush. Very fortunate. Thanks, Mum, if you're ever watching this stream. Six people currently watching. Let's get that hair visible again. The hair really changes it, and that's kind of worrying, because the hair changes it a lot. So when I groom this, I'm going to completely change it. So if I'm really happy with how the sculpt is looking and then I groom it and it just wrecks it, I'm going to be very upset. Still can't figure out the upper eyelid as well. Is anyone in the chat? Because there's currently 6 people watching. Does anyone in the chat have any ideas as to what's throwing us off most? I'm aware the upper eyelid is wrong. I haven't quite figured that out because it seems to be slightly different on both sides of the concept. And I've got the other one, the baby, which actually does have somewhat defined upper eyelids, although there's more of like a skin flap over this side of the eye on the baby. But if anyone has any notes, that would be really helpful. 7 viewers now. There is about a 10-second delay normally. So when I'm saying this, I've probably, when you guys are hearing this, I've probably already moved on to something else. I think once I got this blocking done, I need to decide whether or not I'm going to actually retopo this, or if I'm going to just zero mesh it, because again, this is only going to be a still. I'm not going to be animating this. And although zero mesh is not production ready for animated characters, at least in my opinion, maybe there's some modelers out there who can get it to do really nice stuff. Because now you can do like polygroup stuff and all that sort of. There's a really nice plugin as well by I think it's Polydunky, Francis Martins. He works on something with someone who scripts stuff. And they make quite a nice tool, but the default tool isn't really production ready in my opinion. So if you're doing a still, it's fine to use, but I don't know. It'd be nice. I really do want to build somewhat of a modeling portfolio, just because I've not really done modeling in a long time, so I can't necessarily prove I know what I'm doing, which is obviously not a good thing in the long run. That first one works, the second one does not. This area feels like it's just artifacting, so let's fix that. Perhaps the mouth generally less pronounced towards the front, a little flatter. You mean like the lips itself? So this should be flatter? Is this the sort of thing you mean? Or do you mean bring the whole face in? ZREP is amazing. Yeah, isn't ZREP just a port of R3DS? So it relies on you having a basic mesh set up so you can kind of wrap it to it, right? It doesn't necessarily retopo your mesh as much as it just deforms a already existing mesh to your sculpt or scan. I might be wrong on that, but I remember it being a port of Russian 3D scanner. And I don't really have a properly production ready mesh. Like I've got one little character I worked on a while ago, but he's not, you know, I mean, I don't have anything with the topology for the nose that would suit this. Free for students, no idea what full price is. Yeah, you can get free trials for a lot of this stuff. And pretty much all the software I use is like either educational versions because I'm not making money, or free software to begin with. So I use DaVinci Resolve, for example. I use to kind of not comp, but to put shots together and that sort of stuff, and do a bit of color grading because you can get that for free. And again, because I'm not freelancing on this stuff, it doesn't really matter too much. That fixes that area a bit. Yeah, it's vacuum packing basically. Yeah, so it's yeah, I mean it's a really cool tool. What that tool can do is genuinely incredible. But it's not really a retopology tool directly, I think. I would need to have a mesh that's kind of for this type of face, which because of the lack of nose, it wouldn't really work. Although to be fair, I could use ZRAP to get the eyes, mouth, most of the head. Obviously not the ears and nose, but I could kind of zero mesh those and attach it afterwards. That'd be one way of approaching it. Let me try hollowing this out with a sculpt brush. I prefer that one. This area kind of feels like a squid's tentacles to me. Like, as in, like, just a gripper at the end. You know, like, how it's got, like, ooh, that kind of thing at the end. Obviously, it's a bit pointier, but it feels like that in this area. Kind of like it. I feel like when I'm texturing this area, I might do, like, really overpronounced skin pores. I'm going to smooth. Might need to do a bigger lazy radius. Yeah, bigger lazy radius. My hand isn't very steady at the moment. Either that or it's just been too long since I did any precise sculpting, so I've kind of lost the muscle memory, who knows. There we go, that's feeling a bit better. I always like to use the inflate tool around this stuff as well. I find it closes the gap a lot nicer than the pinch brush, and generally speaking I really don't like the pinch brush, to be honest. I'd rather inflate stuff together, so like, you know, I've got this tight area here. If I inflate these together, we get like a ballooning. It feels like the two bits of flesh are pushing against each other, whereas if I pinch them together, so if I just get the pinch brush, it just feels like they're being like arbitrarily warped to each other. And you know, pinch has its place, and to be fair, that still works visually, but I just prefer the way inflate works. It just feels more fatty, more like loose skin, and I quite like having that in my sculpts. I quite like feeling, I quite like skin looking like it's baggy. Like that to me looks a bit better. It also ends up blobby. That's one of the problems with that method. So you do normally have to go in and just subtly. I'm going to need to do that more subtly. Something like that. And then let's flatten out the eyelid. And let's carve a little corner into this. Give tears a place to escape. Might be worth lifting that outer corner of the eye up. Not so moody looking, larger plane the size of the mouth. Okay, yeah, no, that's a good shot. So let's move this guy up. Getting slightly alien look. I need to find a way. Lifting the outer corner of the eye, around the eyelids. Let's make it a little funnier. Okay, so and larger plane on the side of the mouth. So you mean like for larger plane on the side of the mouth? Are we talking like that kind of thing, like flattening it out, or? Also, thanks for the note, by the way. I need to. Let's just undo that for a second. Oh. Let's hollow this area out a little bit. Eyelid thickness is getting a little bit out of control. This is where having a low res version of this mesh would be really helpful. Maybe I should zero mesh now rather than later. The overall shape isn't going to change anymore. Unless the volumes will, but the general flow between shapes shouldn't change that much anymore. So let's try to get what Josh says in there. I've got a tendency of making my work look angry, so I don't know what that says about me. I like to consider myself as quite a happy person, but my work is always super moody. That's less angry. I think that gets a note. Yeah, it's feeling less angry now. Maybe I was too subtle in a note. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. This is what I mean for the eye, the link. I haven't received a link unless you sent it to me on Facebook. I don't know if I get links because I noticed a few people posting links or trying to post links yesterday, and I never received anything. Josh, do you mind sending me on Facebook? I don't know if I've got an issue. If I do have an issue with receiving links, I mean, I'm fine with people adding me on Facebook anyway. But pardon?
What links? What dodgy things you got on?
No, it's Josh wants says this is what I mean for the eye, the link, but I never received a link. But I remember yesterday 2 people mentioned sending links, and I
it
never
may be
received
blocking it. It's a safety issue or something.
True, maybe.
Maybe for Facebook.
No, he didn't send it. I asked him if he could send it afterwards. Yeah, he sent it me now.
Oh, it's Josh.
Yeah, Josh from he used to be at NPC. I think he's at Framestyle. Oh right, okay, so way higher. Cool. All right, cheers, man.
Narrow or is it narrow?
Yeah, so I think I got your point when I first tried it, but I didn't push it far enough. You're completely right on that. Yeah, sometimes it's about being brave. Although as I'm lifting that, it does feel angrier again. So it's a case now of like, as I lift it up, do I need to lift it out? That might help. But now my bottom lid has lost all its volume. I also need to sharpen up the bottom lid quite a bit. I hope this gets what you mean, Josh. Thanks for doing a draw over there. That's great. Thanks, man. This top eyelid, I feel it needs to have more of a slant. Like if I just isolate this, I feel like that and the shadows are not going to help. But I feel like this section is too vertical. It's like it needs to push in more back there. In fact, yeah, it does because it's kind of bumpy. So let's just do that. And for the bottom plane of the mouth, okay. So lift that eye back up. Red arrow is rounder. Yeah, that's a good shout. And the upper plane one I'll have a go, but I might not fully understand that note. But I'll give it a pass. See what I can do. And for now, get that note addressed because that's a solid one. I'm getting the William Dafoe vibes even more. Like the William Dafoe vibes are like getting stronger every time I do an adjustment to the eyes. It's gonna really annoy me. Like when I guarantee when this project is done and I post it online, I'll get one comment which is just a GIF. You know that William Dafoe GIF where he like looks like really menacing. Kind of occasionally does its rounds around Facebook. I feel like I need to. So now what I'm getting is this shape is too angular. So I can either round it out to get rid of it completely, which might be the best way to do that, or I can keep the sharpness and arch it both of which work. I think I'm going to go with the round it out though. So I'm just going to sculpt in. And mouth plane, right, I'm going to have to figure out, I'm going to look at that drawer over again. These are super helpful though, man, thank you. Maybe it's worth me doing an overlay of these two. I think for the eyes I'm definitely going to have to re-topo them because they're getting super bumpy, which is never a good sign. A bumpy sculpt is normally a lack of confidence or too much tweaking. Let me try adding that crease from the ref and see if that helps. Kind of makes it interesting, but now let's round you out. Filling the eyelid with it too much. Maybe this needs to no, that is definitely not it. The bumpy eyelids are causing me havoc. This region here is definitely the weaker region in the eyes right now, once I've figured out how to get these nice and flat. Too flat, but it's better. It's an improvement. And that's all we need. Eyelid's too thick now. It's nowhere near like that in the reference. So the question is, does this need to pull in? Does this need to pull back? Let's do that. Trying to get an even thickness of like the eyelid shelf is an absolute nightmare. Pretty much requires good topo to do. Let's put the hair back on. Beautiful. Need to do a bit more work on the ears, I think. Although without the eyeball, it feels like it's working a lot better. And also maybe sculpting without the eyeball might be the key to getting these eyelid shelves correct. Getting the thickness of them. For anyone who's like beginning sculpting, obviously like get your sculpting advice from people who really know how to do it, like professionals. But one tip I can give is that thin eyelids are like the biggest curse to beginner sculpts. Almost every time. I used to do it all the time. whenever I get sent work for feedback, I'm on Access VFX as one of the mentors, and every time I get sent like sculpt, thin eyelids are like universally the issue. I really, really, really recommend you get brave with the thickness of the eyelids. I can't remember the actual number. There is a number you can find out for this stuff. I think it's like 3 or 4 millimeters thick, but that's more than you expect. The eyelid doesn't blend into the eye, at least with the flesh of it. Like there is a tear line that blends it with the shading, but with the actual geometry there shouldn't be a blend. That helps a lot. Well, now it's getting too stylized. I'm going to need to kind of See, now I've gone from William Dafoe to Baby Yoda with the eyes and the ears. This is going to be a very frustrating back and forth. Lightness is hard, but I don't know whether I want to call this lightness or not. It's really not the same thing. I feel like this should be a little bit of a peak there. And then let's completely smooth that. Nope, not like that. So I kind of want to do like a little stringy feature here. Baby Defoe. Baby alien. If William Dafoe was the actor for a live-action Star Wars Yoda, this is what it would be. ILM, make it happen, please. Or Disney, make it happen, I guess. Thank you for the tips. No worries, man. I hope everything's going alright with uni, although you're probably on placement yet. But good luck with everything, man. If you ever want feedback on your work when you go into third year, just let me know. I'm more than happy to help out. I need to stop sculpting that back end. That's a really bad habit. I'm sculpting because I want to sculpt it. I'm not sculpting it because it's in the ref. Let's try really rounding this out for a second. I know I tried this earlier, but let's try it now that the eye shape's a bit better. That does not help, it makes it look incredibly sad. Maybe I should start working on the body for a bit to get a break. Let's hide the hair. Save for a second. All right. So let's get the scapula in place. I'm going to need to Google a monkey skeleton. Spider monkey skeleton. Wow, their arms are long. Their arms are really long. I don't like. I knew monkeys obviously have long arms, but this actually looks like a parody. Their pelvises are really long as well. It's kind of creepy. Like, that is nightmare fuel. Completely nightmare fuel. They have a really short rib cage. It's about as short as their... It's only a little bit longer than the skull, but obviously way thicker. So let's get that placed. And then we get this onto the other screen as well. Do they have a scapula in the same way we do? So that's got to be like arches back a lot. What are you doing? So their scapula is seemingly higher down here than it is up there. Obviously needs flattening out a lot. I'm going to find a different angle to get the shape of the scapula. This is coming way too far out, and this should probably be a little bit more vertical, but we'll find out in a second. This needs to be... about that length is fine, but it needs to push out way more. Maybe that much? Maybe not that much? We'll probably end up doing the same thing I did with the skull, where like I sculpt it and then I realised how wrong I was, but at least it was somewhat helpful reference. Understanding how things are put together is really helpful sometimes. I've got a feeling their clavicle is not doing the same job that ours does as well. I need to find a good reference for this. Their arms are stupid long now. So let's just get the move tool. The move tool, if you use the old gizmo, is actually a really great scale tool, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know. They are not that long. Maybe something like that. And I can duplicate that in a second. Though I probably only need to do the forearms, to be honest. Let me just deflate. Oh. I forget that sometimes. If your brush is set to a scale of 1000, it affects the whole scene, like uniformly. Let's auto group this. Polygroups. That's polypaint. Where are you? There you go. Auto groups. I wonder if there's a way to auto group with symmetry. So this rib cage, if you can even call it that, needs to be pulled way forward. Don't want him to have scoliosis. That's where the scapulas go, so I need to pull that back in. Let's turn on Sculptures Pro. Is that working? Did I just click off a message? Mesh partially hidden. Oh right, mesh has to be. But I don't want to have everything visible. Get that eventually. So there we go. Yeah, these scapulas are mad. Definitely nowhere near what they need to be. I also don't know if their muscular anatomy is similar to ours. Obviously, it's going to be vaguely similar because they've got their bone structure is mostly the same. Like they've got a radius, they've got an ulna, they've got ulna, sorry. But I don't know if their attachment points are identical to ours because obviously their arms have quite a different use from us. Like the long arms, obviously a giveaway of that, but. Let me just get the spine in there. Let's see if I can find a good image of the scapula in these guys. Oh wow, they're tiny. I mean, I knew these were too big anyway, but they're really tiny. That's interesting. I assume they'll be a lot bigger than that. So what's the shape? It's hard to get like a good angle on this because I don't see many T-posed skeletons. Normally they're put in a pose. Oh my god, that's creepy. This, don't like that. Really don't like that. I'll get out from screen, Jesus. That one is someone's model. That's a dog. That's kind of interesting. I don't know if it's real. This doesn't feel real. But it's kind of helpful. So let's get this vaguely placed, shall we? Obviously the thickness is going to be way off. Let me just... I can't solo it. That was made a mistake. Geometry, modified topology, mirror and weld, wrong way. Fun little tip, mirror and weld works from I think -x to +x. You can't reverse that, so what you have to do instead is go to deformation, mirror it here, and that swaps them, and now you can mirror from -x to +x and it gets what you want. Mirror and weld, there we go. So that's symmetrical again, and we've mirrored the side that we wanted to mirror. If I remember correctly, it has this kind of shape to it. And it's like hollowed out. The traps will attach here, and here. Traps is super weird muscle. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure how the trap does what it does. Like mechanically, it doesn't make a huge amount of sense. Let's pull these forward. And then let's pull the whole thing forward as well. And down, maybe? Their necks like to have an arch. Obviously I'm modelling this guy with his head poked forwards, whereas the skeleton I'm currently looking at is his head poked up relative to the skeleton. I need a bigger image. Oh wow, I'm way off with the ribcage. That feels a lot better. This needs to be rounded though. Now the side view is going to be wrong. Let's get that side view back up. Where is it? That is not a helpful side view. It's pushed out more at the front, so let's just pull you in, pull you out. I don't need to go too far in this, I just want to have something placed so that I can figure out where, I think it's the 5th rib, the pectoral attaches to. If you don't know the pectorals, I will briefly explain the anatomy of them. Not right now, I'll explain it once I start building them. First though, I need to actually get this working. Oh, are they symmetrical now? Oh, it's working now, great. And let's just rotate that a little bit from around here. There we go. Start to get those attachment points correct. Fun fact about the clavicle, it is the most common broken bone in the body. I know that because I broke mine a couple of years ago. I was like a couple of years ago, about 6 years ago now. The doctor told me at the time, it's like, oh, you've broke the most common bone. Don't know what he was trying to achieve for that me, but it's kind of interesting. It's literally designed to break, like, if this doesn't break, your neck will. If you have the kind of impact that I did. Just turn off that one, that's fine. Such a weird shape. Let's get insert polysphere, get the brush to snap to itself, and then let's get that'll do. So that will help me just like plan out where all the muscles go. I don't need a huge amount of stuff, although I don't know how the traps attach, to be honest. I know they attach along here and here. Oh no, here and here, wherever the spine should be. Then they kind of go down, attach there. There's like a little knot here where it all kind of rotates around, so it's like does that, kind of goes around this little knot. Is it there or is it there? No, it's the other way around, so it's like that way, I think. Although that's striations. I'm getting myself confused. I need to touch back up on this, but I think it attaches around here. I don't know what it attaches to. Maybe there's a little process on the back of this. Should be like there or something. In fact, yeah, there is, but I don't know how big it should be. It's been a really long time since I did any proper anatomy studies. And I guess this all depends on if monkeys use their traps in the same way we do. I imagine the insertion points will be the same, but the way they build volume is going to be completely different. Granted, there's loads of volume, loads of changes within humans. Like my traps aren't particularly defined. Granted, I don't work out, but like for a standard build, my traps aren't particularly defined. I say standard build. If you were sculpting me, you'd use the inflate brush. I need to get back up to scratch with how the scapula is shaped. Pretty sure there's like a something like that. Anyway, let's leave that now. So let's duplicate this guy. I'm gonna fill it with color first. How do we color fill object? Sorry. Cool, and then just duplicate that. And now I'm gonna rename these actually. So rename body. But no. Rename. Oh, rename. Which one's this? That's dynamics of all these. Okay, head. And skeleton. Although this is drifted completely off what I was using it for. Rename. Hair proxy. It's very proxy. Right, so let's turn that off. That looks so dumb. Make the ears visible. Let's make the skeleton invisible, and let's switch that. There we go. So, let's start placing. Let's start inflating first. So 1000, just to get everything kind of attached. And I'm going to dynamesh it. Geometry, dynamesh. That is not dynamesh. Please. There we go. So technically inflating it on the collarbone is a bad move because you don't, the collarbone is a bony landmark, as is this guy. I can't remember if this is a bony landmark as well. I think it is. You only get the little triangle of those worked in, so they shouldn't really move. But that's fine. We don't necessarily know that the volume is correct. So let's start placing some bones. In fact, I'm going to undo the inflation. I'm just going to pull the sections together. Oh, that's not what I want. So let's just add a bit of volume here to pull those together. Or I could just add muscles as meshes and then dynamesh them together. Let's do that. BIW. Oh, that's the old thing. I hate the fact that they removed inserts for. Really don't like that. Beautiful. It's a woman though. So I'm just going to figure out the pecs. In terms of the pecs, so the general anatomy of them, they've got 3 different kind of directions. And let me think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 6 different attachment points in a way. I don't know if you'd count them all as attachment points. But it's like 6 different areas that they attach to. So I'll explain them as I go. It's been a while, so I can't remember the exact names of this stuff. It really has been a long time. But I'm going to need to why can't I? There we go. So, oh, what is it doing? Polygroup. Auto group. Oh, now's when I can mirror it, right? And that will mirror my polygroups. So geometry. Oh, that's why that worked earlier, of course. Modified topology, mirror and weld. So now my polygroups are identical both sides. Perfect. It's a really nice feature. But yeah, so can you not mask a section while you're doing that? No, it's fine. We'll just work with the move topological brush and keep dynameshing. So the areas that you need to keep in mind with the pectorals. Oh, now it works.
Did you fix it?
Well, I'm teaching a little bit of anatomy.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
The stick boy.
I really wish I might just sculpt this as a separate. Yeah, I'm gonna separate this into a different subtool for now. Hello. Split, hidden. But yeah, so now we got the skeleton as one thing. So yeah, the pecs. They have a few different attachment points on this side. So they attach to, well, first on this. Is this high enough for us? No. That's high enough for us. So we got the sternum, which is this area here. We got the clavicle, which has 3 different sections to it. We got the I can't remember the name of the heads, but basically it's like this section, this section, this section. These are where it often breaks. And you've got, I think it's the 5th rib. And basically what happens is there's kind of 3 muscles to the pecs. You've got the one that attaches here on the clavicle, the one that attaches on the sternum, and the one that attaches on the 5th rib. I think it's the 5th rib, I might be wrong on that. They all attach to the arm. However, the weird thing with it is that the one that starts at the top attaches lower down the arms. Is a twist, which is really important to get into your sculpts if you can. So if I just pull this to like here, I will need to dynamesh as I go, or zero mesh actually. Zero mesh might be better. Geometry, zero mesh. That's Testimate. Zero mesh. I've never actually used Testimate. Cool. That's that. So.
Really sniffly nose. Face mask.
What?
Really sniffly nose.
Yeah, I noticed. But yeah, so you've got Oh, come on, autosave. ZBrush doesn't want me to teach the pecs. Right, so they all attach like this, and I can't remember how far they attach. I'm pretty sure it's mostly flat, to be honest. As in it's quite high up. And obviously this is going to have to pull a lot tighter. So where it gets weird is zero mesh again. Right, so let me just inflate this a little bit. I think I am going to have to just sculpt the body as normal, because this is going to prove really hard to do, and I'm not doing this as an anatomy exercise. But yeah, so we got this section here, and this top one will go down to the bottom. I don't know. Although I can't remember the order these go in, which is a bit of an issue. I think the top head is on top. But yeah, so you got this. Maybe it's the other way. Let me just Google pecs.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm just trying to, like, it's been a while since I've done any anatomy sculpting. I need to find striations. Yeah, it looks like the top head is on top. So basically what we end up with is you got this head, which is going to go to the lowest point, and that will do something like that. You got this head, which attaches to the sternum, which will go and attach to an invisible point around here. And you got the bottom, which is here, and that will attach to an invisible point towards the top around here. So that gives you like a twist in the arm. So as you if you kind of rotate your arm like 90 degrees backwards, these will unfurl and you end up with like a little flat area. But if you've got your arms down, assuming that you've got like definition 2 pecs, there'll be like a little mound, like a little tube where the muscles are kind of stacking on top of each other. And that's quite an important thing to get in if you're sculpting something that's muscular. So let's actually fix the sculpt. And then I am going to just dynamesh all this together. And then let's do that. It shouldn't be this lumpy though. Then you also have the deltoid, which is attaching to the shoulder muscle basically, which has 3 heads. I don't know where the middle one attaches. I believe the middle head attaches to this section of the traps. The front head attaches to this section of the clavicle, and then the back head around here, I think, or here. Here would make more sense. Yeah, here would make a lot more sense, because I think this is the teres major and minor. God, I really need to get back up to scratch on anatomy. It's been a long time. So let's put all this together. And let's delete that folder. So let's merge that down, yes, cool. So I think there's too big of a gap between these, so I'm just going to have to put this together, and then BI, BIT, polysphere. I'm just going to fill in that hollow area with this, so I can dynamesh it without having to worry about holes. I'll try to explain muscles as I go, but as you're probably getting the vibe, I can't remember a lot of it right now. So let's just just to be clear right now, this sphere I'm adding doesn't have any anatomical significance. I'm just pushing it together so that I can dynamesh and not have any holes in my mesh. Because I don't want to inflate everything. Because then I lose my bony landmarks. This is going to be super weird when I dynamesh this. Geometry, dynamesh. Cool. So, let's add a fat layer to smooth this out. And I'm also going to pull back the volume of this peg quite a lot. I'm going to keep my... oh, I should have filled this area in. I'm going to keep the skeleton as reference for the clavicle and shoulder blade position. And then let's inflate the fuck out of the neck. And then it looks some like superhero monkey because of the pecs. Let's see if I can remember that attachment. So, let's pull this back, get clavicle back in. Add that little pit of the neck. Do monkeys have an Adam's apple? This is going to be a weird Google. I imagine they do. I don't actually know what the Adam's apple is.
There's a reason. I'll Google it. Like why?
For some reason, it brings up a picture of Adam Sandler.
It's in relation to the thyroid cartilage which forms it, helps protect the walls and the frontal part of the larynx. Larynx, that's the one. Including vocal cords. Another function of the Adam's apple is related to the deepening of the voice during adolescence. Oh, there you go. The thyroid cartilage flows together with the larynx. Fuck, I can't say the word united barely. Consequently, something grows inside me and the men together. A larger soundboard is made up in phonation apparatus, and as a result.
So the Adam's apple is related to
your deepening of your voice.
But I've got a relatively deep voice, and even when I didn't have a double chin, I never really had a defined Adam's apple.
I have more of an Adam's apple than you.
Yeah,
my voice is deep for a girl.
Yeah, but my voice is deep in general.
What the fuck? Maybe your neck is just supposed to be a lot tinier than this.
I mean, I've told you many times that I'm weighty boy.
You're not fat. You're
Yeah, you're not fat. You're inflated.
You're inflated. I can't believe it's not butter.
What, my diet? Just butter.
You're northern. I feel like it's beans and sausages.
The neck is going to have to be a lot more narrow than this.
If you want ref.
What? Your neck?
Yeah. I have a really long. I have a giraffe leg. My neck is like.
You have a long neck, but it's not like inhuman long. It's just long.
No, but like the thickness of it's pretty.
It is quite a narrow neck. Yeah, I'll give you that.
For anyone who obviously not seen me, I have a very thin.
She has quite a narrow neck. Cute though.
Like, oh thanks. You could strangle me. Right.
Thanks for that information. I'll be sure to use it if the quarantine goes on for another few weeks.
You're such a dick. I make your dinner.
You do.
Clean this fucking. I was gonna say house, but this room.
Oh, I clean as well.
Not very well.
Hey, I try. You say not very well, but I try.
I mean, you've gotten better at making the bed, I'll give you that.
That's because I practice.
Because you only do it every day now. Because I make you breakfast in the morning.
Well, to be fair, this morning I didn't, like, by the time I was like, oh, I need to make the bed, you'd already made it.
Well, I think that's the first time in a while though. I fix it. I'll give you that. Like I do fix it, but
Because you're still shit at it, Mike.
It's just the tucking in part. You don't do the tucking in. There's some days where you're better than others. I feel like there's days where you're like, I can be fucked doing.
No, I do try every day.
And I'm like, okay, I will.
So, clue that this is wrong.
Everything.
Is these normally tend to be not vertical, but it's a lot more vertical than that. So the neck is in the wrong place, or the clavicles are too far forward, or the mastoid process is too far back, or the head is too far back, or because it's a monkey, it's irrelevant. So we'll find out which one.
I have hit cube 3 times, and it keeps making not a cube.
Oh, really?
Like, I'm not joking. It's made a cylinder. It has made a cone. I click cube.
Why are you mad?
I really like this. Yeah.
I've got a feeling my chest is too broad in this guy. I need to get these guys in, although I can't remember the name of them. Monkeys are going to be built as fuck, aren't they? Or lean as fuck. One of the two.
Yeah, but yours is kind of hairy boy as well. Well, you think about it. If you get a dog...
Well, I'm going to put fur on it, but although I don't want to do full anatomical detail, because that will only interfere with the fur, it's still important to have the landmarks in the right place. What time is it? It's only 10.
It's alright. I'm going to walk for a while anyway. You can continue or do whatever you want.
Stream until about 11, half 11, I think, today. I think the pec is about right. The deltoid is the issue right now. Although, one note I will give now for any students or beginner sculptors that are watching, learning anatomy is important, but for the love of God, don't make every sculptor do a bodybuilder. Almost no one has perfectly defined striations in their muscles. So like the delt, for example, something I used to do as well when I started off is like, you got the three heads, you got the front. I can't remember, is posterior is the back or is posterior the side? Or superior the side?
Posterior is your butt, so...
so posterior will be back, yeah. Right? It's like posterior, anterior, and superior, I think. But yeah, so your delt, strictly speaking, I can't remember the exact attachment points. I think the front head comes back the furthest. But one thing I see a lot in like quite early people's sculpts is they define these, and no one has that. Like, a bodybuilder who's on an incredibly tight diet, the polar opposite of me, will have that, but most people won't. Like, just because you know the anatomy doesn't mean, try not to force showing it in your sculpt. If the anatomy is right, it will feel right. It doesn't have to be like forced in by defining every muscle group. Like this, for example, like, right now I've got this guy sculpted in super tight, so there is actually a little triangle where, because the pec attaches to this part of the clavicle and the deltoid attaches to this part of the clavicle, you end up with a little triangle between them. It's not this big, like this clavicle is the wrong shape. That should be a lot more further out, and this should be a lot lower. So you end up with like this little triangle like hollowed out, but it shouldn't be that strong. So, but having a hint of that, just a super subtle hint, like, I mean, that's still not subtle enough, to be honest. But it's something like that, just showing that it like hollows out a little bit is enough to show that you know it. But showing that you know something isn't the most important thing, is using it to look correct. Let me just... I'm struggling to remember the exact anatomy here right now. I think the clavicles are too far forward. Yeah, that's like the best advice I can give, really, is learn your anatomy, but then tone it down. Like, don't go too far with it, because again, like, I never got really big into body sculpting. I've always liked to sculpt portraits. That's kind of where I end, which is one reason I'm kind of pushing through to do this anatomy properly, because I need to relearn it. Obviously, whatever you don't do, you'll forget. But yeah, I used to over-define like every muscle group. Every time I learned a new muscle, I'd force it into my sculpts, and it's just never looks good. I feel like this comes too far out. Let me just solo this guy. That feels a bit better. Although right now I feel like I'm sculpting a human rather than a monkey. So I need to stop doing that.
Oh.
What's up?
Watching so many of those freaking videos. Like so like that.
Oh,
That's
the Taco
saying.
Tuesday. Like so like that. That's my business.
Because that's my business.
This needs to be way flatter.
That's my business.
I need to smooth this guy out as well.
Like that. I love that woman. Like, I think I could like marry her voice if it was a possibility. What the frig? Why is there intersecting? Intersection is the grid.
Oh no.
Intersection. I don't remember what movie that's from.
Do you mean the objection?
There's definitely a scene in a movie where she yells like intersection, and then or he yells like oh my god, who is Adam Sandler? The king of shit movies. Sorry, Adam Sandler.
Well, not all of his films are shit.
Most.
He's made more money than you and I ever will.
Yeah, he has. Apparently, like Netflix was like one of the biggest things his career's ever taken.
Oh really?
Yeah, in terms of money. I like the murder mystery one that he did though. It's kind of fun. Oh, I remember what movie Intersection's from.
What?
Remember the Kevin Shrek movie that I showed you? The one where he's gay.
Oh right, yeah.
There's a bit where he's like, homosection, intersection.
The one with the guy from Magnum PI.
Oh, Tom Selleck.
Tom Selleck, yeah.
Very
Have you seen the picture of like, I don't care what anyone on the internet thinks this is the correct length of shorts, and it's just Tom Selleck in like shorts that are like right there. It's like if they were higher, then I need a black sensor bar.
Oh god. Isn't it like Will Smith used to wear crop tops as well? I always think that's an amazing one.
You what?
Yeah.
This feels completely wrong. As far as I remember, it's supposed to be the other way around. It's supposed to be like hollowed out a little bit with a bump in the middle. But I can't remember the reason for that.
Google.
Well, I don't want to Google every little thing I've got. I'd rather just find some good reference.
Freaking Soft's like some bitch from when you forget it's on.
Oh yeah, clearly. Struggling to remember a lot of the landmarks. The neck is way too thick. Oh yeah. This is getting a bit more vertical now, which is good. I feel like I need to massively tone down the clavicles. Smooth them out a bit. Add a layer of skin and fat on top of them. Now it's getting bumpy. So I need to find some good reference now. I'm gonna find some good ref. Torso anatomy, please. Torso anatomy monkey. And I'll Google this on screen. Let me drag pure ref over. This isn't helpful. Really gonna regret full screening this, but let's just ignore the penis. That's not very helpful image. Stream taken down, nudity.
Probably will be. conversation at one time.
Does animal nudity count though? Because all animals are naked. I love the fur in this picture. It's a pity I don't need fur reference right now. The monkey pose. Oh, it's just uncomfortable. Okay, let's just search spider monkey. I feel like I just need to simplify the fuck out of it. That looks like a fun groom to make. They have really bony hands. So, probably need to bring this down, bring this in, bring that in. I don't want a focal shift. And this. Should probably get the bicep on there. Should probably get the bicep on this. I also can't remember exactly where the teres minor and major fit in. Teres minor. So that goes from a weird place on the scapula, and then that's the major. Oh, so they just attach up here. That's super weird. I thought they attached further down. Just gotta fill this in for the sake of smooth dynameshing. And one weird thing about the deltoid at the back is the muscle belly is a super weird shape. So you got like the muscle attaching somewhere around there, but then it's kind of like it's super round, and then it's just a fibrous sheet from there. So whenever you're adding volume to the back of the delts, don't add volume the whole way back, because it is just a fibrous sheet past a certain point. I can't remember if it goes this far back or not, but the volume itself is all focused on the belly of the muscle, as with every muscle. But if you smooth that out, that will feel a lot better than if I was to actually go in and define it all the way up. I don't remember how this looks. The minor looks like it's down there, so let's add that guy in separate. And then I've got a made up muscle set below it. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna do a quick little I think it's the same with the deltoid at the front. I'm not 100% sure on that.
No matter what I do, it never mutes the Facebook on my computer.
What do you mean, the computer?
You think that? Fuck.
Oh, shit. Maybe he has a point.
Shut up. not appreciate is how fast I can UV shit.
You are really good at UVs.
I love UVs.
It's quite rare. I quite like UVs as well, but there's not a huge amount of us.
Ooh, I can make things a little bit. Ooh. Automatic, systematic.
So I just need to check that message. Still 4 people viewing.
I'm none of them.
You're none of them?
Yeah.
That's good.
Your mom is all the rest.
My mum is the rest.
And then we got Aaron deciding to book. Is it the public group?
No, it's a new guy that added me today. I think he just created his Facebook account because he's only got like 5 friends on it.
Is it a bot?
Pardon? No. Maybe it's someone who just doesn't have a big profile. He's added me. He just messaged me saying he's added me because Jesus mentioned me in his post.
Aww.
Me and Scott Denton. I've never actually spoke to Scott Denton. I get good impressions from the way Jesus talks about him, but I don't personally know him. Maybe we should get to know him at some point. What, sorry?
Like so, like that.
Like what?
Like so, like that.
Like so, like that. That's my business. Cool. That's that done. The illustration is way too strong. I have to Google the deltoid and see how it attaches. Ooh, big mistake in my skeletal landmarks.
Make sure you save.
Oh yeah, thanks. Replace and I'm going to save the 3rd version now. It's been a while since I updated version. But I've made a big mistake in how I've built my scapula. I forgot that the top kind of spine of it goes diagonal. I've made it as if it goes perfectly horizontal. And that changes a few things. Yeah, that looks more correct. Damn, I forgot about that. Okay, gonna have to kind of re-sculpt a few of these guys. Little mound here. This guy's a bit too muscular right now, but I'll fix that. I'm just going to place the muscles. I'm going to have to Google that area, see how that works. I've got a feeling it just ends there. And let's flatten out. Let's trim dynamic. Dynamic is a really great way of removing unwanted mesh details. So if you got bumpy mesh, smooth won't get rid of it. Smooth never gets rid of it, but trim dynamic is amazing at it. And I think that's literally what the brush is made for. It's just so much more featureless, which in this case is a good thing. Should I just hollow this bit out? That doesn't feel right. Does the trap attach further forward? It feels better at least. I'm just gonna search for a skinny torso. Although this might give me some horrible results. Ooh, was correct. I feel like it's just a fat layer that I need to go forward. That helps a lot. It's just too triangular now. Cool. Alright. Bicep. When does bicep attach? Or I might just inflate the arm and sculpt it in afterwards. Let's just do that for now. Let me just round this out a bit more. Too round? Maybe. Oh, I need to get the live stream back up. Let's get the hair on here. Now might be a good time to start adding to the bottom of the hair. Okay. Hello, what?
There's a new trend on TikTok.
Oh no.
And
That's how all good sentences start.
It's, you know the way you had like the naked thingy challenge? This one here is now like it's a video of like a girl ringing, like a voice clip of a girl ringing, and then it's like, hey baby, oh god, she's still here, like, you know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Geometry, Dynamesh, and then turn that off. This is going to end up being a main if I'm not careful. Which is...
Oh, the head?
Yeah, the fur and the head. If I'm not careful, it's going to look like a mane. Which is not what I want it to look like at all. I feel like I've made the body slightly too small.
I think so, yeah. Like, look at the side of the really small, like, look at the side of the arms compared to the head.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the arms are nowhere near finished adding
No,
volume.
I mean like even the actual scale of the body if it's really, really tiny.
Yeah.
Like how thick his chest almost looked human-like.
Yeah, I might just scale up.
the shit out of it.
Okay, let's grab you. Transparent. And then, where do I scale it from? That's the question. I guess Adam's apple? Oh, not Adam's apple, pit of the neck maybe? Oh, that's the wrong way. So I'm gonna need to inflate the arms a lot. I also have no idea how the bicep attaches to the body, so I'm gonna have to Google that as well. Oh, that's not what I want. slap an elbow in. And let's get basic trap in. Maybe clay tubes, good time to come in here. Can't remember how these attach. Viewers are dropping. We're down to 2 now. To be fair, I wouldn't watch me for how long has this been? 3 hours.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, right. Or 2.5 hours, sorry. Right, where's the bicep insert? I do not understand what I'm looking at for that bicep. Bicep insertion points. Is it attaching to the scapula? That's the tricep. I need to learn more anatomy over this bit. 100%. Oh, right, okay. So one part of it is attaching or wrapping around the upper arm bone, and one is attaching to the collarbone. Or no, it's not attaching to the collarbone, it's attaching to a part of the scapula that juts out. That's not what I expected. Don't know what I did expect, but it's not it. Also, my arms are way too far out. Just grab you, pull you in. Oh no. Time for a resculpt. So let's do that going in. Come below you. And then not quite a lot of skin covering this section, so let's just flatten that out. It was all going so well, and then I tried to insert the arm. I'll say it was going so well. It was going okay. There's a lot of issues. Too many issues. Like, holy fuck, would you look at that. Although his arms are rotated backwards in the ref, so I'll probably keep that. Let's get the hair back in. you kind of hang up. There's like a shelf where the hair sits out. Ooh, not pretty. There we go, that's close enough to symmetrical. I feel like I want to cut the arms off. Like there. Because that feels like it's working, so it's that point down that's fucked. Maybe it's just the proportions of it feel weird because I don't have an abdomen yet. Also, clay tubes with a softened alpha and the what's the name of it? Fuck. This guy, Sculptures Pro. That's the one. Those three combined work quite well together. His neck is too long. His neck is definitely too long. It's so weird looking.
It's hard because it's got the big mane on it. Got them titties.
That helps. Ignore the intersection for a second, Becca. Does that help? So if I undo that?
The back forward? I think so.
I think it does.
I don't really know.
I think it does. I'm gonna.
I don't know much about monkeys.
But visually, it looks better, right?
So.
Oh, no!
What? The crash?
I'm glad I saved recently. I don't normally have ZBrush crash. It was quite rare. The Zen monkey was there to protect me when I get back.
The Zen monkey.
No, seriously, the Zen monkey. Look, this is what it crashed to. The Zen monkey saved me. How far this way do I need to go now? Do I have a quick save that's newer than? I don't think I do. I don't think this is newer than my actual save.
Huh?
The quick save, I don't know if there's a way for me to find out that it's
It looks pretty much what it was. No, it doesn't.
Let me check the hair.
It's the waist, isn't it, Mike?
Well, yeah, but like,
Still kind of terrifying.
is this older or newer than my save? Projects. Oh no, wait, this is a lot newer than my save. So if I lost. So let's select you. Of course that works. So let's get a big move rush. Don't crash this time, please. Cool. Maybe the pecs are too long. Maybe not long enough. Oh, that helps. And arms I'm just gonna have to delete. Okay, so let's start sculpting the... Oh, I need to move it up actually. Cool, that'll do. Let me just save version 3. I had to save over the quick save. I did. Z projects. He's already 1.4 gig. Good lord. That's excessive. So let's start sculpting that hair back in. Alpha modify. No, mid-value. Radio fade. It's a bit softer this time. Alpha modify. It was like 10 last time. In fact, I've got a feeling he doesn't really have a neck because those shoulders are basically touching his chin. They're actually higher than his chin. So actually like super tall, but then also this would have to be tall. I don't think he really has a neck. That's only going to be difficult. Smooth that area out. Can always sculpt the anatomy back in. That's better. Oh, it looks like a buff Baby Yoda. That's a lot better though. The ears are doing the Baby Yoda thing for me right now. I might look at ref of Baby Yoda and do the opposite. This area makes no sense. Like, at all. It's going to take me quite a few passes to make sense of that area, I think. There's just long hair at the back that kind of grows round. I feel like his neck doesn't really have much fur. There's like a little kick of it here. Mouth is too big. Let's get rid of. Still got 2 people watching. I'm impressed, guys. Who's still here? That guy who's messaging me seems super sweet.
Hmm?
That guy who's messaging me, the one who just added me, seems super nice.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. He's not using the reason his social media is like nothing on it because he doesn't like social media.
good. That makes sense.
So he's using a fake name and all that sort of stuff. See, although what I'm doing right now is a result of an accident, it could be really cool to add some dirt in the fur. So I had to inflate this section to make it one piece again. But if I had like little pieces of dirt in the fur, it could be quite cool.
I feel like the mouth needs work.
Mouth needs a lot of work.
The mouth's the bit that's getting me. Like if you go to 3/4, like match up the camera. Sorry, the upper corner. Yeah, see it? It still needs like puffed up in the middle.
Puffed up in the middle.
Yeah. It should.
Well, I think
currently-
one thing I'm seeing quite strongly is
Keep the reference up there. It should look like this. Like yours looks like this.
you saying that's already puffed up though.
It's weird. I feel like it needs a draw over.
I think something I'm seeing is this.
Yeah, I think that needs pushed in. Yeah, so it's more like a. It looks like an upside down cashew or a croissant.
What?
The mouth should look like a croissant, so it's like
But it's already.
No, these bits, these side bits here. See the way they come in.
Can you come over and point? 'Cause I'm not entirely.
So, I can't point. I don't want to.
Okay.
So,
Like this? Oh.
see the top upper lip? Yours are like more rounded.
Right.
If that makes sense.
So
It's more like
this region here is the area you've drawn.
No. The actual full muzzle. See the
This
upper.
guy.
No.
Oh, the whole snout.
Yeah.
All right.
The
Okay.
upper
Okay.
part of that, like the
Uh-huh.
this part.
Mhm.
Yours is more shaped like that.
Yeah.
It needs more like this.
So it needs to be more
Like this.
triangular. Oh yeah. I see that.
You know what I mean? But it also needs to
Pulling
have not,
pulling these sections in will help that.
yeah, not triangular, but that's you're getting it like it has like a weird like slope. You know what I mean? Like a bell curve nearly to it. See here?
See that lower part of the drawing, is that the mouth shape?
No. What
So
no?
I don't know why you've done, yeah, so like on
This
that,
is.
yes, that's what it currently is. Yeah, no, I don't need you redrawing it.
I'm not redrawing. I'm just drawing the nose on.
So, but that bottom part of the line is the lip line.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm drawing the nose on for you. I could draw them for you. Like ready?
I was just trying to figure out exactly where.
There.
Oh, it's Thomas. It's Thomas.
What's Thomas?
Thomas Huser.
Hey Thomas.
How's it going, man?
Blah.
Oh. Perfect.
Let me give him his ears.
Sorry, off screen, Becca's currently drawing a note for the mouth. So we're trying to figure out exactly why that shape's not
I
working.
drew it like a llama.
Beautiful.
Not
I actually
llama.
kind of dig that.
The feedback llama.
This needs less volume.
I'm trying.
Figuring out this back section is going to be an absolute nightmare because currently from a front that makes absolutely no sense. Also, this side needs to be further forward, which also makes no sense. Let's pull this whole thing forward. That's not going to work. I need to sculpt this out. Oh, that's going to cause issues. That's helping. I think this sculpt's going to take a while. As in, like, quite a few streams.
That'll be fine.
Yeah.
Let me get committed.
4 or 5. Keeping me awake, Couchy. Hey, you can go to sleep if you don't want to stay awake, Tom. Or do you need to stay awake? Do you just miss me? Is that what it is?
No.
No, it's definitely not it. It can't be right.
It's like, what is this bitch doing?
It's like, what the fuck is that Mike's trying to sculpt? Is it William Dafoe? Is it Baby Yoda? What is it?
Oh.
Both.
The child.
Baby Dafoe.
Baby
I think someone said that in the chat earlier, actually, so I don't want to nick that joke. Oh yeah, someone literally said Baby Dafoe earlier in the chat.
Aha.
Let's sculpt you in. And I kind of want to curl this up like that. That's what I'm feeling. Baby Yoda. No, I love those soothing tones of your voice. It's really not very soothing, Thomas. That post that Jesus put up is getting so many comments on it. And it's like, guys, stop being cute. Like,
I made a sex joke.
what's it?
I made a sex joke.
You're gonna what?
I made a sex joke. So.
You made a sex joke to who?
Oh.
What's it?
I implied that you were friends with. Oh my god, this is the problem with 2 monitors. They're really tight.
Do you do ASMR? No. And I never will. Fuck that shit.
Oh.
I love ASMR. But oh hell no, I'm not doing it. Although maybe I could do a role play of a Peep Show. It's only a fruit corner,
I
Jeremy.
don't like that.
I am uncomfortable, she says.
As she stared into his eyes.
Let's
Aha.
pull that further onto the cheek.
Like
Down.
Hermes, you have helped me.
Like Hermes helped you?
Yee,
Well, like one of his tutorials.
Yeah.
That's the thing, he's got a tutorial for almost everything.
Yee, I'm doing a rope.
Yo, Tom, you've got a really good eye. What's wrong with this? I've been really struggling with the mouth shape for a while. The nostrils, I've just realised, are too close together. So that will help a little bit. Now the nostrils feel too close to the mouth. Maybe fixing those nostrils might throw a bunch of shit into it. But yeah, like, I know the top eyelid is wrong. I'm gonna spend the next stream figuring that out. But yeah, the mouth shape. What is it, at least for you, that's making it feel wrong? Because I'm not able to place it. Not at the moment. Let's leave that sat still for a second. Let me go full screen just a sec. Okay, I'm gonna, because there's a delay, I'm gonna assume we've had enough time full screen, so I'm just gonna continue sculpting this bit. I need to fill that out a bit more, because it shouldn't be so voluminous. Solo him. If you need any particular angle, just let me know. Because I'm reaching that point now, I'm starting to go blind to some of the issues, which is normally a good point to end the stream, but I'm kind of enjoying sculpting for the night. I still need to figure out how I'm going to pose this guy. Like if I'm going to take him into like a free rigging tool, or if I'll like proxy model it and just sculpt it into place, or if I'll use human IK, or even Z-sphere rigging. But I'm not feeling Z-sphere rigging, to be honest. The nose bridge should be a bit, should be going in a bit, so the barrier feels like it's extended a little bit. So you feel like, as in the width of this section should be pushed in? So like that? So that feels too narrow to me, unless you mean going in that way. Rounder maybe? And then from the side too. Okay, so make it narrower. Huh. Last one. Alright, cool. Yeah, with there being like a 9-10 second delay, it's kind of difficult to figure out like exactly which bit people are referring to sometimes, but I think this is working a bit better. And then something I know isn't working, and I keep redoing it and keep having like accidentally sculpting it out is this plane change. It used to be way bigger. Oh, I need to add the stroke back in. Lazy mouse. So like this plane, I keep losing it, so forcing it in like that seems to keep working for me. Granted, that's too strong now, but this is what keeps happening. Is I'll end up removing this by the end of the stream, I guarantee it. Not intentionally, mind. By accident. It's a bit too strong. Feels almost hard surface-like. Oh, no, not nothing from just from the side. Okay, cool. So I'll widen this guy back a little bit. And then I feel like that bump here doesn't make much sense. But I might come back to that tomorrow. Yeah, that bump, actually that bump should be doing the opposite. It should be a concave. A little valley. Let's figure out some more of this hair. Starting to chug. Why is it chugging though? Because this mesh is only... Oh, have I got dynamic subdiv on? No, I don't. Why is it chugging? That is really slow. I don't know how well it comes across in stream, but it's just dying right now. Just save this. It's been a while. I have one viewer currently. Have we dropped down to just Thomas, or is it one of the guys that normally stays for the whole thing? This needs to be way longer. Oh, am I sculpting symmetrically now? No, I'm not. So, screen's going to go black for a second. Just getting Task Manager up. Chrome is eating 2 gigabytes of RAM. Why is Chrome eating 2 gigabytes of RAM? That's disgusting. How many tabs do I have open for that? I have 2 tabs here, so let's close one of these. I don't need that one either. And then I have 4 tabs in this one. Is 6 tabs really enough for freaking that amount? Seems a bit intense. Right. The hair needs to come down lower. That helps. That helps a lot. So guys, I'm just gonna fill up a glass of water. Be back in 1 second. Oh, the police just the siren started as soon as I left the stream.
Huh?
As soon as I went up to get a glass of water, the sirens went off outside. Beep beep, stream police. Didn't run the cold tap for long enough now, my water is lukewarm.
Excuse me?
What's it you're doing, Becca?
Housekeeping.
What's it?
I'm blocking in an environment for
Freelance? Or your little personal project?
person project. I'm so like crazy.
I don't know why this is lagging so much. Maybe it's the dynamics. Oh yeah, Sculptors Pro is doing it. Alright, cool. That makes sense.
I'm gonna do freelance tomorrow after a walk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you give me a hand for the wood stuff and then.
Fine by me? Yeah, I can help you out.
Thank you. I've actually nearly done that anyway. I wanna try and get render out for Sunday. You know, just to send them. Be like, hey. I have a headphone in, by the way.
You have a headphone? Sure. Are you about to call someone?
No, just
Okay.
listening to music.
You can listen to music out loud if you want. I'm not monetizing the streams, it's okay.
No, it's fine.
Although, I don't know if they still get muted if you're not monetizing. So I know I've got several videos on my YouTube channel that are muted in certain countries. Like old turntables I did with copyrighted music on them. This hair geometry is an absolute mess. The back needs work. Let's get the back working. In fact, the back of the whole model needs work. So let's do this. Just figure out a flow. I kind of want to have like a shelf of hair almost. Like if I mask this guy out. And that's not what I wanted to do. There we go. And let's just grab a rotate and do that. Push him out. I feel like it'd be quite fun to have like the long hair that suddenly comes to like quite an abrupt end. Although it might look quite weird from the side. It kind of suggests two different hair qualities, which might be interesting. That's my thought process anyway. It's also kind of shit. Might be better just to slowly blend the length down. Or maybe even do the classic mound at the back, where the hair is stacking up. This is something that might have to be figured out in room rather than sculpting. I'm not a good enough sculptor to get the feeling of hair here. That's kind of promising though. Let's add a little bit more to the bottom. Add performance back in. I hate the arms so much. Just to get a little bit more context for the rest of the model. I forgot the name of this muscle, but it's a muscle that sits just above the hips. Kind of does that sort of shape. And we've got this guy in here, which sits under the lat. This is what the clay tubes is really good at, is getting those muscle striations. If you do a few passes over your own brush strokes, that kind of randomness of not having perfect brush strokes will produce quite nice striation effects. Granted, you need to thoroughly understand the muscle insertion points, and I'm a bit rusty on that at the moment. Also, abs shouldn't really be sculpted symmetrically, because they're actually like ludicrously asymmetrical. let's go in and play build up. Let's add a little bit of fat around them. And let's add the ribcage back. Kind of got like a fat six-pack kind of effect, which I'm not sure I want, but I don't know what you are. Let's start on the bicep. It's gonna drive me mad. The arm feels like it's being bent. As if like someone's grabbing it and causing it to do like a bit of a twist. So, go and check Facebook. Dragon Ball is still doing pretty well. Let's add mount going over. That's kind of interesting. If you line the camera up with the surface and do the snake hook through it, you get this effect. Like it kind of pulls through. It's really cool. Oh, that's not good. Thomas sent a message and then retracted it. I have no idea what he said. It just says message retracted. Anyway, delete the history on this. How do you delete history in ZBrush? ZBrush, delete, undo history. Tool. Where? Edit. Oh, edit. Perfect. Maybe now a bit lighter. Let's delete some more history. Edit, delete, undo history. Edit, delete, undo history. Is that quicker now? I don't know if history is related to performance. It is not, apparently. Okay, let's go through. Maybe I just need to close it. Let me check my CPU usage. A spike. It's like one core that's getting rammed and then nothing else is happening. I forget how poorly multi-threaded ZBrush is sometimes. Oh, bye senior little man.
Is it you on your own now?
Pardon?
Is it you on your own now?
No, it's just me and Thomas now, I think. Where is it? Is it in Brush? Sculptures Pro. Use Global. Where's the Sculptures Pro settings? ZBrush. Where's the testimation density? Why these aren't in alphabetical order, I'll never understand. Edit. Nope. I don't think it's in drawer or document, is it? No. No. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, there it is. Is this going to make it twice as big? So, okay, so stroke, Sculptist Pro. Let's make a brush this size. Brush, okay. Set that to 0.5, 0.4. Okay, so smaller is tighter. So let's set that to 2. Alright, cool. There's twice the resolution now. Or half the resolution, sorry. So it should be a bit quicker. Still slow. Doesn't help. Alright. Kind of want to make it like flick out or something. Have a little. Maybe even here would be kind of cool. What's that, worms? Doesn't do that. Okay, that's a promise though. Probably not going to continue stream for too much longer because at this point it's already 3.5 hours since I started. So I'll probably end the stream at, let's say, 11:30, so in 8 minutes. So there's only currently one person left, so I'm guessing it's either just Thomas or some secret person who hasn't spoke the whole time. I really need to add fur to the ears as well. It's me. It's Francisco. He's also in ZBrush. He's streaming as well. He's ZBrush as well. He's just got me on the second screen. Yeah, I'm going to stream pretty soon, man. It's getting quite late, and I've already been going for 3 hours, so. That's not Sculptures Pro. I'm having flashbacks. Becca. I can't say it out loud because stream, but this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know which asset?
Yes.
Yep.
Don't need to keep saying.
Cool, I think that's me done for the night. Got quite a few things I can get on with in tomorrow's stream. I'm getting more Gremlin vibes as I do this. But yeah, okay, cool. So I'm gonna head off, man. Got 2 viewers now. Whoever just joined, the stream's ending now. So, but yeah, if you want to join again tomorrow, feel free. If not, that's also fine. But yeah, see you guys.